Yo, holy smokes, we are back with another one. So today we're going to be going over the 2025 Baltimore Regional Championships. So this was a very interesting championships regional. It's the first one of the 2025 season, and there were this regulation H is so fun, right? There's opportunities for so many mons. Like you can even use your favorite mons, your favorite starter that you always use. Everything is viable. You just got to build a good team around it, but everything can work. The power level is much lower, and everything has its own niche. You just have to find it, right? But this is a cool regional. It took place this weekend, and the winner was Nicholas Morales. He's brand new to VGC. Well, maybe not to VGC, but it's his first regional. And just like Justin Tang, he won his first regional and went pretty crazy. He got a invitation to Worlds, as you guys see right here, and he also got $6,000. So that's really cool. So he had an interesting team, right? So we're gonna take a look at his team really quick. And he had Archelodon and Mousehold with no Annihilate on his team. So usually this team, I believe instead of what was it, Among Us, there was an Annihilate on this team, and this is like one of the teams that won the first regional, right? I believe it was just Annihilate over the Among Us, or I think it had Basque I'm not 100% sure, but I know it had Mousehold, Archelodon, Pelipper, and Incineroar with the Annihilate, right? So it's a really cool, strong team. I think it had Among Us over. I think it had Annihilate over the Basque Legion. But this is a really cool team, and it's a cool, thought process to swap out the Mousehold for the Basque Legion because you just want to deal damage. And Mousehold is really here to just deal a lot of damage with the population bomb. It's not really here to support and annihilate, right, with the Frangard. And you'll see, like, it literally won him, the tournament overall. It just obliterated Paul Chua's Dragonite and the Ninetales, right, like back to back, which is just really strong. So it's a really cool Pokemon. This Amoonguss set is fairly standard. There's no Protect here. They run it Clear Smog to help the Dondozo matchup. Incineroar. It does have Flare Blitz, even though it's on a rain team. It's just for the fact that if you go against like a sun team, or you just don't have your weather out, you can still pressure like Among Us and stuff like that, which can be kind of annoying for Archelodon if it doesn't go for Terrestrialization, right? And even if it Terrestrialized, it's just hard to kind of remove Among Us with this set. So having that Flare Blitz is just really valuable on Incineroar. And this also Pelipper with a Tailwind, just to give you like a little speed boost, and no wide guard, no helping hand. And the idea is that this Pelipper is just here to deal a lot of damage and get around fake outs with the Ghost Terror. And Basque Legion gives you a little bit more flexibility since it's not choice band. You actually can protect and swap your moves, right? So you're not pinned into a situation where Rillaboom and King Gambit, which are like the top 3 most used mons, or even maybe top 5 for this tournament, you don't just get flanked by not being able to switch out, or you limit your options when you're choice band against those twos, right? And especially in the end game where you can't swap anymore, then they just have like a free Sucker Punch and Grassy Glide into you. And with this set, they can't safely click that. You are doing a little bit less damage, but even still, Water Tear, Wave Crash, Aqua Jet, Last Respects is still doing a lot of damage with the Mystic Water boost. So it's still a really good mon. It's just those Last Respects just aren't hitting as hard, but it's still gonna hit pretty hard for the most part. Let's see if we can look at the usage stats before we look at some of the teams. Let's see where that is. So here's the usage stats, day 2 usage stats. This is pretty cool, and what I wanted to show you guys is that one common thing that we saw a lot in the top cut was Flamingo. Here's one here. They got 4th place, and no, let's go further up. All right, here's one here, 4th place, 5th place, and there actually isn't another one in the top 16, but these two had a lot of showings on stream like all weekend, and it was just really strong, right? It's been really good on this set because it's not gonna run tail when it's gonna be on these Trick Room teams, and it does a good job pressuring a lot of things in the format that this team kind of doesn't want to deal with, right? And now if you look down at the top usage stats, the day 2 and day 1, just look at it. You pressure Go Dingo with Scrappy with a super effective close combat. You pressure this with Brave Bird. You pressure this with close combat, right? You pressure this with Brave Bird. You pressure this with close combat. Primarina physical defense is not the best, so you're still doing a lot of damage with Brave Bird. Pressure this with Brave Bird. Close combat. Close combat. You can still chip this down with Brave Bird. You're chipping this down with Brave Bird, and you pressure this with close combat. Like, it's so good into like this top 12, and that's kind of crazy that, you know, it was such a good meta call for this this tournament. And I think that with Rillaboom and King Gambit being very common, it is really good to help, because Rillaboom likes to pivot in on those teams and stall them out, and with Fake Out to waste your Trick Room turns. King Gambit likes to, you know, be slower than a lot of those mons and pressure them with Sucker Punch plus Swords Dance and just have, you know, pretty good typing into them. And then, you know, you also have Amoonguss, which likes to go for, you know, Rage Powders and Spores and stuff. And Incineroar swaps in to help slow those teams down. So it's just really good at dealing with those. And it was like a really good pick to, you know, help you deal with those. And like, if you see, like, we're just going through the top 30. Like, it's just so many Flamingo everywhere. So I think it's really cool that it really showed up in this tournament, and it showed out. Another thing to note is Ninetales. This is a really cool Ninetales set. This Ninetales isn't running any Aurora Veil, which is very strong, because this Ninetales just aims to deal damage. And if you click a move that's not really good into your opponent, or you protect in front of it, then you just get an Encore, right? And that's really threatening, especially when you can't stop it with like Psychic Terrain, because it's not a priority Encore, right? So that is really threatening. The King Gambit is Assault Vest running Low Kick, which is really powerful. He has double Low Kick, so he's definitely prepared for a lot of the normal types and steel types that are in the format. And it's just dealing really good damage. Garchomp, Life Orb was a really good brain. One thing to note, that his team, outside of King Gambit, if he didn't bring King Gambit or wasn't on the field, it was very weak to Incineroar, but he was able to play around that for the most part because he has the King Gambit. But I just want to note that it is, you know, super weak to a well-played Incineroar. This team also cool. The Annihilate did not have the Mousehold partner. His Mousehold partner actually won the tournament, and this Annihilate really wanted that Mousehold on his team. But they did really good still. One thing to note with this team, the Volcarona was a support set. This team absolutely destroyed one team on stream. It was like a Volbeat and a Spatula team with Typhlosion to like go for Spatula's signature move to drop your special defense by 2. And then just remove you with like fire type attacks from it, Typhlosion, right? This thing with Dragon Terror and Struggle Bug absolutely just walled that team with the light screen. It was just nothing that he can do with it. He tried to play around it, but for the most part, he was just hoping for crits, right? It was just very strong into his team. And I'm not surprised to see how well, you know, Dalby did with this team. It was a really cool team, and I might be looking to explore, you know, support Volcarona. Like, this regional really moved the meta a lot, right? Because now you're going to be seeing more offensive population bomb. You're going to be seeing Basculegion not run Choice Band. You're going to be seeing Ninetales without Aurora Veil. You're going to be seeing, I doubt you'd probably see Annihilate without the Mousehold and with this way, but you will be seeing like support Volcarona, right? And maybe more Grimmsnarls. Definitely going to be seeing more Flamingo. There's also a Vivian in the top 6. It's a really cool set because it has the Compound Eyes. So you're able to hit more Sleep Powders and Hurricanes, and it's not running Friend Guard. Personally, though, I think that Pollen Puff would have been better on this set. Sleep Powder is kind of volatile. I honestly wouldn't want to run it, but if you just want to run Vivian, I think the Friend Guard giving bulk to the Primarina and the Garchomp and the Porygon, like, this whole team can appreciate the extra bulk that comes from Friend Guard plus the redirection. And I think that it could have been a lot stronger like that, but even though you have the Compound Eyes, I still don't think it makes these two 100% accurate. So you still have some variance there, and I do feel like this team really appreciate the extra bulk. And Garchomp, you know, it is a good partner for Garchomp to be able to Earthquake next to it, but you really don't, outside of Primarina and, you know, Fighting Terra Porygon, which is also something that's going to be trending in the meta now. I do think that Incineroar also had a good matchup into this team too. So I think that's really cool. And as you see, you know, Incineroar won this championship, and it was on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 8 teams, right? And like even the top 16, you still had a couple more Incineroar. So Incineroar was very present, and I'm not surprised that it won because it did have a good matchup into a lot of these teams. Like, it's really hard to remove, and that's why you really do see the Porygon running the Fighting Terra Blast, which is really unique for this Porygon because it pressures. And as you see, there's 5 Porygon in the top 8. So Porygon did his job with this core, But it's the fighting, and I guarantee you they were all fighting terror, right? Well, this one wasn't. This is the only one I think wasn't, because it had the shadow ball, so it can pressure like those ghost types that become immune to tri attack, which is really cool. So he really, pushed the invention wheel with his team. But I think all the other ones were fighting terror, right? Yeah, fighting terror blast on this one, and you got what fighting Terra Blast on this one as well. And like I said, like King Gambit, like if you just run Terra Blast and Ice Beam and you're like Fairy Terror or Poison Terror, King Gambit kind of walls you, right? But with the Fighting Terror, now you pressuring it with a one-hit KO, which is really cool in my opinion. So I do think that Fighting Terror Porygon is going to pick up. And a good meta call for knowing that Fighting Porygon was picking up was running the Terra Flying Dragonite, which forces Porygon to not want to terrestrialize, right? So you're able to, if it does, you're able to deal big damage with that. So I think that was really cool. Also, there's a Assault Vest Dragonite here. But like I said, I do think that you're going to see more of the Porygon, more Flamingo, Porygon Fighting Terror specifically, more support Volcarona, Ninetales out of Roarville, Pop Bomb, Mousehold. And also, one thing that you're going to see for like maybe the next 2-3 weeks is what Wolfie brought to the tournament. So Wolfie had a really cool team with Toedscruel and offensive Weezing with choice specs. You're gonna see, you might not see it with this exact team, but of course he's gonna drop probably a Renico, so you will see this exact team. But people that feel like they can, just build a better team or something that fits them better, you're gonna see them with Toedscruel plus Weezing, and then they're gonna go straight for the acid spray into like just sweeping with like these powerful attacks. And it's really cool because things that don't want to get put to sleep, they like to tear into grass or like hold safety goggles. And then Weezing, if they're tearing into grass, you can just pressure them with a flamethrower plus acid spray, and they're in a really bad spot from that point, right? Dazzling Gleam is still doing a lot of damage. This has Fire Terror, so you can't really get around ground type attacks. And I think the reason that this team didn't do better was because I don't think they predicted that Garchomp would be so prominent in this tournament. But the ground type, not being able to get away from the ground type super effective damage was really painful for this Weezing. So I would think that in the future, if you want to just make this better, I think you should just go with the Fairy Terror and just go all in with the Dazzling Gleam and Strange Sting. But I get why he went with the Fire Terror, just to do more damage with Flamethrower, right? So that makes sense. But Garchomp being as good as it was, it may not continue to pick up like that. But it got second place. Here it is at sixth place. Wolfie also used it, and I saw just a bunch of Garchomps everywhere. Here's one at 19, and also all the Ursalunas right here. They're just pressuring that Weezing for a one-hit KO, right? With their Fire Terror, so that's really not good. Then if you do tear into fire, then you become weak to these two, the water type moves that still deal a lot of damage, right? So, and Dondozo also usually carries like Earthquake. So while it is a fun set, it is just really weak to a lot of common metagame threats. So I would just say maybe make it like Terra Fairy, and you're really only weak to Gordingo from that point, and you just build your team to play around Gordingo, right? Because Gordingo actually whoops this core. You do have Earth Power, but I don't think it's one-shotting Gordingo, especially if it terrestrializes, right, to like Dragon or Fairy. So just build your team in a way to deal with Gordingo, and I think that a Fairy Terror on this would be good. But I still think it's a cool strategy, and Wolfie's a world champion for a reason. He's the leader in regionals, so he knows what he's doing. Also, Justin Karras, I believe, ran this team as well. I don't think did he top cut? Yeah, he top cut, but he was in 27. But he ran the same team as well, so they probably built that team together. So it's really cool. It might have been somebody else running the tournament, but we didn't see them on stream. Also, Sneasler, which I've been advocating for, which is a really strong mon. It did get 10th place, so that is still pretty high. Justin Tang was piloting it pretty well with a cool team with Electabuzz. He really took Electabuzz, Salamence, and Sneasler to their highest placement. Primarina was on this team too, so. But he did pilot them pretty well. And also, Delphox got top 18 by Brent Grismer. He's usually the one that runs like those hard trick run teams, right? He loves Side Spam, but here's just another Side Spam Choice Specs. This thing can do some damage. With Sunny Day, like Choice Specs Fire Overheat, you're probably sweeping a lot of stuff that's not expecting to like take that much damage from Delphox. And if you get it down into range, they have the Blaze ability instead of like its ability that steals your item, which is really cool. Indeedee, Side Spam. This is really hard to switch into because Whimsicott's not running any prankster moves that target the other side of the field. So you really can run these two and go for expanded force. If they tear in the dark, then you just moonblast them, right? You get tailwind up, and this is a very hard combo to deal with. You still have population bomb. You have this adaptability with Terra Grass to pressure those water types if they tear in the water to try to deal with this team. And then Sneasler just fits on this team with the Psychic and Burden. And this is a really cool team. This is something that I would see a lot of people trying too if he drops a runner code for it. This was one of the coolest teams that I saw in the region. I think it's really unique pick. You also saw Nick Navarre with the Breloom. I think that this team with the Bullet Seed, if you did have like loaded dice, you could run our Archaludon and go for Bullet Seed into Archaludon, and I think that would be a really cool set to just get it to max defense. But you can also just run like Mousehole, like the winner did, right? But I still think that's cool. But it's just fast Spore, right? Here's the Typhlosion team. They did pretty well, got 4 teams, so he did well with it. He went pretty far. This Indeedee set was pretty cool with the Imprison to help you deal with those Trick-on teams. I feel like this team was designed to be good into the Porygon and Flamingo teams because it just has a really good matchup into them. But he just ran into Screens plus Volcarona with support, right? And that's just, he probably couldn't predict that going into this tournament, but it just was his downfall. It just was just so good into him, right? And it's just really impressive, you know, how well this team flows together, and it just got stumped by the Grimmsnarl team. There's one Sinister I see here, got top 11. Let's see what he was running with. This looks like just the same team with adding Grimmsnarl over the Incineroar that won the first regional, right? So, pretty similar sets all around. Grimmsnarl just makes the team just a little bit more bulky than Incineroar does, but Incineroar still, you know, consistent. But I can see where they went with the Grimmsnarl. He did pretty well. Like I said, he got 11th place with it. So that's really cool. But overall, these regionals was really fun to watch. I do think that this opened up the meta a lot for a lot of unique strategies and let a lot of people know that they can use certain mons and they can still be good, right? There's just so many niche picks all over, and I think that, you know, it's humbling to know that you can remove the restrictors and the legendaries and still make for a fun metagame. So I hope that they do this more often, where we have some formats with restrictors, we have some without restrictors and the legendaries, then we have some where they remove all the legendaries, right? And then also I think a ban list format would be kind of fun too, just to see more things rise to the top. Like it would be perfect after this if you ban like the top 10 mons from this format, and then you see what else rises up after that, right? To take the place of like Incineroar, to take the place of like Rillaboom. Like what options do you have outside of these top options that were in the format? Archaludon clearly would be banned, right? You know, Pelipper would be banned. Then you have to go with Politoes, right? So it's just interesting to see what type of metagame would develop with a ban list. But I know a lot of people don't like those ban lists, but I still think, you know, it'd be decently cool. And I think also top 16, yeah, they got $750. So if you made top 16, you still went home with some money. So that's also pretty good. And I know people are happy about that. Even in the top 8, you still went home with at least $1,000, right? So that's really cool. But that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the first regional. Leave a comment below if you guys enjoyed it, if you got a chance to see it, and you know, what's your opinion on going forward, what's gonna take place in the next regional, right? But I do think that, you know, going forward, more people are gonna be exploring more things because they see that it can work. And I think that the next regional is going to be even more diverse than this one. But that's going to be it for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Subscribe, turn those post notifications. Deuces.